we're gonna hit up Rug Doc, get the Rug Doc review. We're gonna release our audits because we kept the audits hidden as well, simply due to the fact that we had anti-bot measures built into the contracts, and we didn't want to make those public before launch. And you see how well they worked, right? It took a bit of time, but millions of dollars came in from those bots ready to buy. And if we didn't have those anti-bot measures, what would have happened is those bots would have executed about $3 million worth of capital at the listing per hours, but we rescued, 95% of the investors' funds by doing that. And there's not a lot of projects out there that would be willing to spend, 2 hours on a launch process to ensure the safety of the investor capital. Mostly because I'm sure they would feel like, oh, well, we're going to take some hype away from our launch, or people are going to get restless and leave, or, it's just not possible to combat all these bots. But we were determined. And clearly, based on the performance, the TVL, the community was behind us. So I'm extremely grateful for that. People realized what we were doing, and because they stuck with us, and they were completely on board and still aped in at launch, they were able to ape in safely, and they didn't get their capital wrecked from bots. So we're very, very happy with how the launch went. Of course, it was a little bumpy due to the dog token, but that was 100% us being diligent and putting in security measures that enacted, because our TVL was much higher than we expected. So I'll say it one more time just because there's twice the amount of people in here when I first explained it. We put limitations on the amount of BUSD from the deposit fees the dog token could spend. The dog token spends BUSD from the TVL to add liquidity. 3% of every dog transaction is paired with BUSD from the deposit fees and used to both buy back the dog token and add liquidity to the dog token. We put in a security limitation to ensure if something went wrong, the dog token wouldn't end up spending all of the deposit fees on adding liquidity. We knew it wouldn't, but it was just an extra security measure just to limit its ability to spend. Because it's always good to put limitations on, if you have some sort of spending in your contracts where you're giving approval for the contracts to spend, it's always good to put some limitations on that. Just in case something unexpected happens, it won't, go crazy, and it's limited to the amount that it can spend. So we put those limitations on, and we put those limitations on based on the TVL we got from the Manor Farm. So the Manor Farm went for 2 weeks and got slightly under 100 million TVL. So we figured, all right, if it took 2 weeks to get slightly under 100 million TVL in the Manor Farm, we'll set the spending limit for the dog token slightly over the 100 million TVL, and that should be fine. Well, we launch, we get, about 300 million TVL. So it created way more deposit fees than expected, and that took us over the limit for what the dog's token was allowed to spend. When it went over the limit, the security protocol kicked in, and it essentially froze the dog token. So this is why the single asset staking on dogs, and this is why some dogs transactions were failing yesterday. So we paused it. We spent a couple hours going over everything just to be 100% sure that it was this limit that was causing the transactions to fail. We determined that it was that. So we took off that limit because we knew by that point that the dog token was working correctly as far as how it was spending that TVL. And then we unpaused it, and since that was the only issue, it just went right up to running full steam ahead. And since then, and we know from all the audits and all of the testing we did, no issues at all. Everything is running 100% as designed, which is perfect. There's one slight UI issue where when someone deposits into the dog's B&B pool, it says that they have less than what they actually deposited. This is just a UI issue that I just need to make a small change to it that will adjust. So other than that, everything is running amazing. Other than that small UI issue, which will be adjusted as soon as I get off the call. The reason for that UI issue, I know I probably shouldn't get into all the how the sausages are made here, but you guys are intelligent, so I think it's best to just share everything. Yesterday, when we went live, the dogs wrapped B&B wrapped B&B APY had a couple extra decimals on it. So if it was supposed to be 130, it's at 130,000, right? So because we had the issue with dogs and all this stuff going on, we didn't want to spend a bunch of time on a small UI issue. So we just moved the decimal places over a couple. That solved the APY issue, and then we moved on to doing other things. That made it so when you deposit wrapped B&B dogs, it says that you have less than you actually deposited. But that's a very small UI issue that we just need to tweak, and that's it. Other than that, everything on the UI is working. All the contracts are working exactly as designed, and we have millions of dollars right now ready to go for buybacks and for marketing and to inject into the pig pen. So we can so right now the pig pen has 1.917 or 1.9 million, let's just say, to pay out. We have another about 4 million to inject into it. So that alone is gonna 4 or 5x the payout, the daily payout in the dogs token in BUSD. And then every time someone does a deposit onto the farm, 30% of that deposit fee is made immediately available to people in the pig pen, and the rest, the other 70%, goes into the vault to increase this BUSD vault. So we're just getting started. If anybody was in the Manor Farm, they know that we did we about four times we did about 6 times actually. About 6 times our TVL in the first 12 days about. So I expect us to outperform that. That means that our payouts in the pig pen would increase by 6 times. We also have the BUSD that we migrated over from L1, which will compound that by another 4 times. And then we have all of the instant payouts that are going to be generated for new capital coming in. So expect the payouts in the pig pen to increase by somewhere around 9 to 12x. And on top of that, 30% of that will be instantly paid out to those in the pig pen. So we're just getting started, right? We have a ton of marketing coming up. We have a ton of capital being generated in the form of cake right now that we're going to use for buybacks. And we have enough capital for buybacks right now to 2x the tokens, right? Dog and pigs. We have enough that from what we migrated over from L1 to more than 2x pigs. And then we've generated a bunch of cake as well. That when you combine what we generated in cake, what was put aside from deposit fees, what was put aside from L1, we could 2x both tokens right now. And that's not a one-time thing, because this is regenerated capital that goes to the buybacks. Because we're constantly earning it in the back end from the capital that's staked in the rehypothecation contract, which is earning 30 to 40% APY on PancakeSwap right now. So as we speak, we're generating capital for buybacks, and we have a ton of capital that's put aside for buybacks. And the TVL itself is generating BUSD rewards for the pig pen. So I would say expect about a 8 to 12x increase in BUSD payouts from the pig pen. I would say expect. Actually, I don't want to give a limitation on TVL, because if I had done that for launch, I would have said, yeah, we'll probably get around 100 million, 150 million in TVL, and I would have been wrong by a factor of 2x. So I'm not even going to go there saying what to expect in TVL, because we're only going to get stronger, and everybody needs to understand that this is your farm, right? You get just as much capital in the farm. Actually, you get more capital in this farm for being an owner than I do, right? We have a 10% dev fee on deposit fees. So out of this 4 to 6% deposit fee, 10% of that goes to developers. Other than that, the whole other 90% goes to paying out the pig stakers. So everybody in here has a greater share ownership and is rewarded for having a greater share ownership than even I do as a developer. So understand that, and treat this thing like it's your project. Get out there, promote it, let people know how we are setting a new standard. We have the only yield farm lending protocol that allows you to earn and grow your capital and grow your net worth as a participant while you're leveraging it through lending and living off the dividends and compounding the dividends of BUSD. There's no other protocol in DeFi or even in traditional markets that allow you to earn like this. And this is how the super wealthy earn their capital. So really, this is your time to take advantage of that and operate as an owner, right? So have the sense of pride as an owner. It's not like you didn't take risk to get in here. It's not like you didn't take the kind of risk that an owner takes. So understand that and, make the most of it. The referral bonuses alone, really, whether people have a feeling of ownership or not, they want to get out there and show their referral link. So that alone is going to, help put in the work. But, plenty of studies have shown that when people have a sense of ownership in something, in a business, whether you give them a piece of equity in the business or they get a share of the revenue that's earned by the business, their performance goes way up because they know that they're working for something. They know that their work directly results in a tangible benefit to them, both in payout and in the sustainability of their ability to grow in the system. And you truly have that in the animal farm. And this is the first protocol that allows you to have that kind of ownership. So it's extremely exciting. We have so much more to grow. If you look at what Rev Token did, we launched, we made a big move. We had like a 30 to 40% correction. We spent like a day or two putting in a type of, bottom pattern. And then we did another 20-30x. And the day that we closed it down so we could migrate over to the animal farm, it was hitting all-time high. It would have kept going if we didn't put the brakes on it to capture the capital to come on over here. I expect us to take that performance and blow it away. And if anybody is, wondering why I would think that, we have better mechanics. We have, and when I say better mechanics, I probably shouldn't say that. I should probably go into what those better mechanics are. We have the dynamic emission rates. We have the renewable BUSD payouts instead of just a one-time collection of BUSD that happened from the Banner Farm. We're earning a ton, like 3 times more capital on the back end through our rehypothecation, which goes directly to buying the dog and pig tokens off the market. We have way more users, right? We had like 4,000 users in the Manor Farm in our Telegram group. We have over 60,000 now in this group. The growth is insane. And we have, like I said, from the amount of capital we have put aside already right now, enough to both 2x the dog and pig tokens and 12x the payouts in the pig pen. And when I say that, I'm including the some of the projections, right? So it's extremely exciting, guys. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for putting up with the delays that we had at launch. I know you understand the reason why we had those delays were for security reasons. For one, to prevent the bots from end up draining 90+% of the capital, right? And there's no other project that I know of that was able to take $3 million that otherwise would have went to draining 95+% of the capital from investors that bought it at launch, and instead turned that around to having it be an extra $3.5 million of locked liquidity. Right? There's no other project that has done that. So I hope you guys realize that those delays yesterday were 100% worth it, because we did it as an anti-bot measure and to capture that capital that otherwise bots would have used to dump the price. And then also the delays with the dog token, which came from us putting a limitation on the amount of capital the dog token could spend based on our projection of us hitting about $100 million TVL and not really expecting to get over that immediately at launch. And when we did get over that, the dog token was like, all right, I'm past my limit of spending. I'm gonna freeze up myself until the limit is raised. We didn't want to just raise the limit without going over everything to ensure that was what was causing it to freeze up. It was what was causing it to freeze up as expected. We raised the limit, and immediately the dog signals asset staking kicked back in. Token started trading again, and it's 100% working 100% as designed. And even it pausing yesterday, the dog token pausing yesterday, was it working 100% as designed. It triggered a security protocol where it saw, alright, it has way more money to spend than it expected, so freeze up until the limitations are raised. We could have fixed that in a matter of seconds. We could have said, alright, it froze up because we're over the TVL we expected immediately at launch, raise it. But we wanted to do the due diligence to ensure that was the only thing causing it to freeze. We spent like an hour and a half going over every single detail of every single line of code and every single transaction. We saw, okay, it is that, as we expected. Raised the limitations. As soon as we raised the limitations, dog token started trading again, and the single asset staking kicked back in again, and the emissions started up again. So now we have verified the contracts, right? We didn't verify the contracts at launch because we had those anti-bot measures that we didn't want to make public. Because if we made them public, the botters would have tried to adjust. So now we have verified the contracts. The next step is making the Paladin audit public. We didn't even give those anti-bot measures to Paladin because you never know, right? We trust Paladin, but you can never trust someone too much. And there's some smart people there, and who knows, I don't even want to say anything because I don't want to, throw undeserved dirt on them. Like, we would even expect them to be ones that would bot. But it was just extra security. So we didn't even share them our anti-bot measures. So now what we have to do is give Paladin the extra few lines of code that we use for anti-bot measures. They'll confirm that what they got for code is exactly the same, minus a few lines that were the anti-bot measures. They'll confirm that. They'll publish the report. We'll put the report on the front page. The audit will be public. We will then burn the blacklisting and pause function. What this means is us as developers will no longer have the ability to blacklist anyone or to pause the contracts. And at that point, because everything's running exactly as designed, at that point it's off and running and no one can stop it. So that's when I would say it truly becomes 100% decentralized. Because at that point, no one has any more power over the contracts than the developer does. I mean, I kind of said that backwards. At that point, the developers have no more power over the contracts than anybody else does. We can only call public functions, essentially. And we don't have the ability to pause anything. We don't have the ability to blacklist anyone. And this should be reassuring to everybody, because there is no need to pause it. Everything is running exactly as designed, and it's running perfect. So there's no reason to pause it. There is no reason to blacklist anyone. The only reason why we added in a blacklisting function was so we could blacklist the bots, because those were the one people that we said, if you try to bot our contract by getting around our max buy limitations at launch, you will be forfeiting your capital to the liquidity pool. And we followed through with that. So I appreciate everyone being here. I don't have much more to add other than we're going to spend the weekend addressing any small UI issues. For example, the dogs wrapped B&B pool, when you deposit into it, the UI says you have less money than you actually do in there. Anybody can check the contract and see you do have that money in there, and you are getting paid out as if you had the full amount of money in there, but it's just a small UI issue. We'll adjust that in the next hour or so. And other than that, I don't see any issues at all in anything. But we're going to spend the weekend just, answering people's questions, troubleshooting people's questions. We're going to start the buybacks. We're going to start injecting BUSD into the vault. And then on Monday, we start going hard with marketing. But we start getting ads up. We start doing more interviews with big-time YouTubers. And we really just start putting, boots on the ground. Really putting in the hard work there. So, congratulations, everybody. You made it through. You had the confidence to stick to your guns and be here right now, and because of that, you're in a massive, powerful position, right? The BUSD rewards from the Pigpen is about to 8 to 12x. The dog and pig token from the buybacks alone will at least 2x, but we all know that the buybacks are going to be nothing compared to what individuals buy. Same as Rev, right? We used the money that we said we would for buying the Rev token, but the Rev token 20 or 30x, and only 2x of that was buybacks. The rest was that was people coming in, and we saw what happened was we had initial huge spike of TVL, initial huge spike in the price. Then a slight reduction as people that just wanted to treat it as a normal farm treated it as a normal farm, cash out and get out, whatever. And then people 1 or 2 days later realized, wait, this isn't a normal farm. This has all these extra mechanics and sustainability. This is truly a first mover product. And then you start to have that TVL go back up again. You start to have the price go back up again. And within 12 days, we had 4x the TVL and 20 plus x the price. And I expect to see even greater performance than we did with the Banner Farm. So, let's go, guys. And even more important, we had 500 BUSD in payouts for the Banner Farm. We have $2 million worth of payouts right now. And we're about to 8 to 12x that through the injections of the millions of dollars that we migrated over from the Banner Farm, and from all of the capital that's being moved there from our increasing TVL. So it's very exciting, guys. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna hop off now. I'm gonna address that slight UI issue with the dogs wrap B&D pool, and then I'm gonna get to work, starting to go through some of these partners. Oh, what we are gonna do 100% is add a tab on the left that allows people to apply for being a partner. That way, we can streamline these offers, and very shortly, within a month, we're going to have vaults, partnership vaults, where people will be able to give a share of their total supply to be used as rewards. And then when people pair their token, the partner's token, with our core tokens, they can then stake them in the vault to earn our partner's tokens. So it'll be another investment option that pays out without creating additional emissions and additional inflation on our tokens. So it's more incentive to buy our tokens, more incentive to lock up our tokens, a huge co-promotion, while it allows our investors and our owners to get cheap, get basically almost free exposure to our partners' tokens as well. So, this is massive. And we're going to have a vote on a proposal to push that forward with the Pigpen. But we're already, we know the community's opinion about that. So we know that's going to go. No problem. So this is exciting, guys. I mean, this is when we really put in the work. Yesterday was about launching, getting through all of the initial, bumps in the road that comes with launching a, innovative first mover type of project where we're doing all this innovative stuff. We have like 6 or 7 different, massively innovative protocols that have never been done before. Whenever you have that kind of innovation, you got to be super diligent. You got to take things slow, and you got to take it as it comes. So that's what yesterday was about. Launching it, having plenty of safety protocols that could get triggered. One of them did get triggered. That was when we got a TVL that was way over we expected to get. And the BUSD, the dogs token, realized, all right, there's more BUSD in here than what I was, given permission to spend. Let me freeze until the limit is increased. We saw that. We said, okay, the dog token froze. It's because we hit the upper limit of what it was allowed to spend, and it has all this extra BUSD. Let's do our diligence to ensure that's the only reason why it froze. We took like 2 hours just to go over every line of code, every transaction, everything. We confirmed, all right, that was the only reason why it froze. Let's take that limit off of it. And as soon as we did, kicked right up. Started trading again. People could stake it. Emissions started right up again. And it's perfect. It's perfect because, of course, that was a small bump in the road. But that was a bump in the road that was by design as a security protocol to make sure that if the dog token all of a sudden gets all this huge amount of BUSD that we didn't expect it to get, it wouldn't spend it. It would freeze up until we gave it permission to spend it. So that happened. The reason why that happened is because we saw the complete amount of TVL that we got on the Manor Farm, which was like under 100 million, slightly under 100 million, and that was over 2 weeks. So we said, all right, we got slightly under 100 million in 2 weeks. We probably won't go over 100 million immediately at launch. So we'll set the limit to what the dogs could spend based on if it got about 100 million at launch. We ended up getting like 300 million at launch. And because of this, the dog token had more BUSD from the deposit fees than it was allowed to spend. So it froze itself. And this was a security protocol that we put in place just in case. So if something unexpected did happen, the dog token wouldn't just spend all the money. So that limitation triggered. We noticed it. We said, okay, that limitation triggered. The dog token froze itself and paused itself as designed. Let's go over every line of code, every transaction to ensure that's the only reason why it froze. That took like 2 hours. We realized that is the only reason. As expected, we raised that limit off of it, and it kicked back up, working perfect, exactly as designed. It really could have gone smoother, right? You're always gonna have some bumps in the road when you do some like true innovation, but the only bumps in the road that we had were our own security protocols working. The anti-bot measures, and of course we had a lot of heat on us, a lot of people trying to get in. So we launched, bots tried to get in, that caused the contract to pause, that blacklisted the bots. We unpause, bots hit us again. We pause, we blacklist those bots, we unpause, bots hit us again. And every time we paused again, we had to go over all the transactions to ensure we weren't blacklisting legitimate buys, right? Because we would only pause for a matter of one block. So, like, realistically, the only people that are going to get in one block are bots, because the pancake swap front end doesn't update that fast. So if you only pause and unpause the token for one block, someone that's using PancakeSwap to buy wouldn't be able to, because it takes a couple blocks for PancakeSwap to update and be live again. So we knew that 99% of the transactions that come in, if we only pause and unpause for one block, would be bots. But we wanted to be super diligent to ensure that we don't accidentally blacklist someone that wasn't a bot but still was using a contract to get their position in fast, right? Because we had nothing against someone using a contract to take one position under the limit size. That was fine, right? You want to use a contract to do that, whatever. It's when you use the contract to set up 100 wallets or 1,000 wallets and have all of those 1,000 wallets do just under the limitations that we set for one person is allowed to buy this much. And we told them, that if you try to get around our limitations, that you would be donating your capital to the liquidity pool, where it would be permanently locked. And that's what happened. So it was a major benefit, right? So yeah, like anytime you try some major innovation, you're gonna have some bumps in the road. But we're very happy and proud with the fact that our only bumps in the road were due to our own security measures triggering, because the conditions that we set for them to trigger were hit. And that was botting our launch, which was awesome because we got a bunch of free capital from that. And it was the dogs token getting more BUSD that it was allowed to spend based on the projections that we determined what we thought it was likely to get to spend. And then we got like 30 million at launch of the Banner Farm. That's how much came in at the launch of the Banner Farm, 30 million. And then over about 2 weeks, we increased that to just under 100 million. So we figured we got 30 million at launch on the Banner Farm, and we got just under 100 million at the end of the 2 weeks. So we thought, all right, setting the limit at if we get 100 million at launch is reasonable. And then we get like 300 million at launch. So that caused the dog token to be like, all right, hold up, I have more BUSD than I thought. Let me pause myself, because we put limitations in place. So if the dog token got more BUSD than we expected, it wouldn't just spend it. It would pause itself. So then we could look and see, all right, why did it get more BUSD than we expected? If it was just because we got way more TVL than we expected, fine. That's cool. We take the limits off, and it runs perfectly. If it was for some other reason, thank God we had that limit on it, because it didn't just spend it. By design, it was because we got more TVL than we expected, which was fine. We took a couple hours to ensure that was the reason. Make sure 100% that was the reason. It was. We took that limit off, and everything's running perfect. So now the real work starts. Now the buyback starts. Now the marketing starts. Now the referrals start. And now is the time for you guys to act as owners and to benefit as owners. And that means having a sense of pride in the platform, understanding that you're getting more from this platform than even I am as a developer. 10% of the deposit fees goes to the developers. The other 90% goes to the pig pen stakers, the owners, right? So you guys are benefiting more than I am from this, right? Of course I have the like reputational benefits and all this stuff, but I'm just saying it from like a strictly financial standpoint. You guys are benefiting as owners more than even the developers are. So, understand that and work to grow your platform. So I'm gonna hop off now. If you have a technical issue, right? Because we have 60,000+ people in here, so whether it's on our end, on their end, there's gonna be some portion of people that are having technical issues. Hit /tech in the chat. That'll give you the Drip Technical Support Group. Go in there, let them know about your issue, and we'll try to troubleshoot you. There's a ton of people, so you gotta be patient, but we will try to troubleshoot you. Now, don't, just because you see someone with the same avatar and the same name as an admin, do not trust them. Literally don't trust anybody. In the sense of, don't click on any links, don't download any bot that's supposed to fix or any program that's supposed to fix your issue. Don't approve any contract that they say is supposed to fix your issue, even if they look like me. Even if they have my name, they have my picture, even if they have admin next to it. That's still no reason to be clicking links, approving contracts, or downloading anything. Because regardless of the situation, that couldn't help you either way. So even if someone that looks exactly like me, my name, my picture, says admin or even owner next to it, tells you to download a program, just don't do it. Because if it says owner next to it and they're telling you to download a program, that means you're in the wrong group. And you might have typed Drip Technical Support Group and went into like a cloned group. Because scammers will do that. Scammers will make a group that looks exactly like another group. Use the same picture as the owner of that group, use the same name. Then you go in there, you ask them a question, and they're gonna tell you, "Oh, well, approve this contract to fix your issue or download this program," and you're just in the wrong group. So, no matter what, just have your common sense. Common sense goes a long way in crypto. So, all right, guys, I appreciate it. Buybacks start this weekend. Marketing starts on Monday. And partnerships start in a few weeks from now. UI, the one small UI issue that we're having with the dogs BUSD thing, that I'll tweak that right when we get off this call. That'll be fixed. And what else? Expect the dogs BUSD payout to be increased by about 4 or 5x instantly when we inject those millions, and by about, I would say, 8 to 12x in the next week or so, just based on the increase in TVL. So appreciate you all. Thank you. I'm gonna hop off now.